Hello, this is the thing I'm doing, where I'm reacting to showcases and things. I did want to do this for the PlayStation Showcase, and then was just like, well, that was disappointing. Then realised that I probably should have done one to talk about why I found it disappointing. But anyway, we're talking about the Nintendo Direct that just happened. So I'm going to try and keep this to 10 minutes, as best as I possibly can. I'm going to try and cover as much as possible, and just run through what I think of everything. So we opened on a Monster Hunter Rise DLC thing. Not played a Monster Hunter game in my life, so meaningless. Okay, Yokotaro is doing a card game. That's interesting. Kind of looks like an interesting kind of game because it's like building the world out of cards, and I'm assuming that you flip things over and it reveals things. I don't know. It's Yokotaro though. I've never played Nier, but I know that it's emotionally devastating, so I'm curious to see how he's going to make cards emotionally devastating, but that'd be interesting. More curiosity than anything else though, I will say. Like, it's not getting me hyped. Disco Elysium is going to be on the Switch. I was really fascinated by the fact that the trailer had most of these scenes from around the end of the game, which, I don't know, I feel like that's kind of not what you should be doing, but alright, fine, whatever. I can't imagine playing that on the Switch. Certainly couldn't imagine playing it in handheld mode. But hey, whatever. Chocobo Racing's back. Because, you know, everyone wanted to see that back. Chocobo Grand Prix, well, Chocobo GP it's called, and it's out next year. Yeah, it's a kart racer with GB Final Fantasy characters in it. I'm probably never going to play. I never played Chocobo Racing on the PS1, why would I play one now? Basically, it's meaningless to me. No Smash reveal, that was interesting. We've got to wait a bit longer. The 5th, I will probably do one of these for that around that time. Okay, then we got Kirby in The Last of Us. So, okay, fun thing about that one, and that got leaked by Nintendo themselves. Someone got their scheduling very, very wrong. Don't worry, I've been there. I sympathise. I've scheduled videos for the wrong time, and I do stuff on geekybromy.com, and I've scheduled that wrong in the past. I get it, guys. But anyway, it's a full 3D Kirby game, and I don't think that's ever happened before. Like, they've always been 2D platformers, so that's interesting. I don't know how well Kirby in 3D is going to work, just because it's never happened before, but if anyone can do it, it's Nintendo, I guess, because they've done pretty good at turning their 2D franchises into 3D before, so why not? Never played a lot of Kirby games. I played a few of them, like the main ones. I played Adventure, played Superstar. Very curious about this one, but the world is just The Last of Us, but like the cartoon version. So I'm very much looking forward to the really harrowing moment at the end of the game where Kirby dooms humanity just to save the life of his adopted daughter, and then he'll die in the sequel, and his adopted daughter will go on a revenge spree, and it'll be just a slog. But at least we can confirm that Kirby will outlive all of us. Brewster's back in Animal Crossing. I have not played Animal Crossing in months. Maybe that'll get me to play it again, maybe, I don't know. The most important announcement was made then, Disney Magical World 2. Yeah, I don't know who was asking for that, like the character avatars look dead inside, I'm very sorry. Sure, there are people who are very excited for that, but okay. The next announcement almost feels like a response to the PlayStation Showcase. So the PlayStation Showcase opened with, we're remaking Knights of the Old Republic, and then Nintendo were just like, we're porting the original one. It's like, okay. Bless you, Nintendo. Triangle Strategy is now its official name. They've dropped the word project from the title. It looks like Octopath Traveler Tactics. I don't know if it'll be any good, or if it'll be like Octopath Traveler and get about halfway through and it just becomes a repetitive slog, and none of the characters properly interact with each other. And that's a real shame. Everything else looks great. Everything else was great about that game. But anyway, but it's out next year. It's out in March, so that's cool. They showed off Metroid Dread. We know that's coming. I know it's coming. It's on my wish list. I'm very much like, yes, I will be playing that at some point, maybe. Okay, now we need to talk about the next thing, which was N64 games and Mega Drive games. So the rumor about Game Boy games didn't come true, but we got two different systems. I don't think anyone saw the Mega Drive coming, but alright. Although, to be fair, Sega have yet to release a Mega Drive collection on the Switch, as far as I'm aware. So, this is how they're doing it, because by law, Sega have to release a Mega Drive collection on every system in existence, sometimes 2 or 3. I don't know why, they just do. Can we just talk about Nintendo being Nintendo and saying that, like, rather than bundling those systems in with the existing subscription, you now have to pay an additional subscription on top of that to get the N64 and Mega Drive games? That's not cool, Nintendo. Just roll it into the existing subscription. You barely get anything for the money as it is. Well, it was actually kind of neat though that they showed BanjoKazooie is coming to the N64 Switch Online thing, because like I saw people going like, oh, Microsoft won't allow that, and I'm just like, you sure about that? Because BanjoKazooie are in Smash and the Ori games got released on Switch. Do you really think Phil Spencer's going to be like, no, you're not allowed the N64 BanjoKazooie, how dare you? Yeah, it's going to be on there, and I like that they just straight up said it's coming. But yeah, I'm not pleased with that decision to charge an extra subscription. What is that about, Nintendo? See, it's a cool announcement for like on one hand, and then they had to ruin it with the other bit, and that's just unfortunate, really. We're getting the Castlevania Advance Collection, which apparently is now out. Just suddenly, I've been wanting that to come out because I'd kind of been getting into the Castlevania series and trying to like play those old games, because I played Symphony of the Night, and then like they released the like NES and SNES collection, that sort of era. I was like, do you know what they should do? Because everyone raves about like the Game Boy Advance and DS ones, and you know, I should play those at some point. You know, maybe I'll track them down, or maybe they could release a collection like that. And now they have. So I'm glad about that. ActRaiser has got a remake. I don't really know much about ActRaiser. I don't think it ever released in the UK, so I have like no feelings towards ActRaiser as a thing. Okay, then we had like the big things at the end. Okay, so the Super Mario movie has its cast, and it is the weirdest cast. So they were like, okay, we're going to announce who's going to play our cast of characters, and I was like, okay, cool. We've cast Chris Pratt as Mario, and I'm like, why? Why have you cast Chris Pratt as Mario? That's not a good casting. Like, people already like have issues with Chris Pratt for a variety of reasons. I'm just trying to imagine him doing the Mario voice. Which I assume he isn't going to do the Mario voice, which makes it even worse. But like, I just don't know why that was the choice. However, to counter that, they also cast Jack Black as Bowser. So I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, this is terrible, and then on the other hand, it's like, you cast Jack Black as Bowser. I mean, considering in the last video that I released on this channel, I was praising Jack Black anyway, because he's in Psychonauts 2. So I'm like, okay. I'm just now imagining Bowser just in full Jack Black mode, and I'm like, yes. This is going to redeem everything else. Feels like it's going to be Raul Julia in Street Fighter. You know what I mean? Like, it's an irredeemably awful movie, apart from the one guy. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that casting. There's a few of the weird ones in there. But, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that cast. Chris Pratt? Really? As Mario? Okay, sure. Then they showed Splatoon 3 stuff. Lots of interesting stuff on display there. I'm very interested in Splatoon 3. I loved the first two games. Splatoon is totally my jam. So we've got some questions that I want to ask about that, which is, number one, so there's a cool little crossbow weapon in there, I noticed. I think that was in the original trailer, to be fair. I think they did show off. There's a weird spider mech thing that looks like it came out of Ghost in the Shell. What the hell was with the weird, like stretchy squid person going on, where it's like they got stuck in between the transformations? That was weird and slightly creepy, and I don't know what's happening there. They didn't explain any of it. They just showed it, and it was just like, there you go, that's in the game. I'm like, what is that? What's happening? They showed a whole bunch of stuff in the single player, but it flashed by so quickly, couldn't tell a lot of what was happening. We got weird Captain Caveman type things going on, as mammals are returning, because Splatoon lore is wild. If you don't know anything about Splatoon lore, it's wild. And then the final trailer was Bayonetta 3. Although, can we talk about that bait and switch? I audibly gasped when I saw the name Platinum in the last trailer, because I was like, oh, it's Bayonetta 3! And then it was like the really long sequence of like a military operation against some weird creature, like some sort of weird kaiju thing. Like they were fighting that off, but I was like, well, they obviously aren't going to make these generic military men playable characters. I can never see Platinum ever doing that. But then, like, a second one showed up and I went, wait, is this like some sort of original thing where like you have like kaiju battles? Because I mean, I'm down with that. I'd prefer Bayonetta 3 right now, but like, I'm down with the kaiju battle thing. And then like one of them got shot, and then it shows the dog mascot from Astral Chain, and I went, oh, it's an Astral Chain sequel. I didn't like that as much as some of Platinum's other games. That's unfortunate. And then Bayonetta showed up and I went, what is happening? What game is this? At first, for that moment, I was like, is this like some sort of crossover between the two? Because that'd be weird. Interesting, but weird. We do seem to be getting the kaiju battles though. Like when you summon your demon, I can't remember its name right now. I'm sorry, I'm such a fake fan of Bayonetta, but I can't remember the name of the demon that you summon. But like, it seemed like that's like fighting this big creature, and it's like a big old kaiju battle, and like Bayonetta's just being Bayonetta on the floor in between all this, and I'm just like, this is cool. I don't know what's happening, but I'm down with it. Bayonetta's hair, very, very floofy, looks very different. Also, there's been a thing recently. Helena Taylor, who has played Bayonetta up to this point, I can't remember the exact exchange, but it sort of implied that she isn't going to be playing Bayonetta, and I feel like the line that she had at the beginning of the trailer, when she appears, didn't quite sound right. It did sound like it might be a different actress, and I find that interesting that they've recast her. But yeah, Bayonetta 3 looks really cool. So, as a Nintendo Direct, how did I feel about that? Well, I thought it was decent. It wasn't like hype, but I certainly wasn't as like miserable as I was at the end of the PlayStation Showcase. See, the problem with the PlayStation Showcase was that the Direct kind of had a lot of stuff we knew about as well, and even like some of the big stuff at the end was still like continuations of things we knew about. We knew Bayonetta 3 was happening, we knew Splatoon 3 was happening, etc, etc. I mean, I'm certainly more interested, but I do think that this was definitely another kind of, here's more stuff that we're just going to give you some updates on. We haven't really got any mind-blowing new announcements, but as a fan of Bayonetta and Splatoon, very happy with those two final trailers. But it does kind of show you that like there's no real big things going on at the moment, and I wonder if the pandemic's affected a lot of that. So we're just getting a lot of these slow updates on things that have happened over time. But yeah, it was a decent presentation though, and I'm still very pleased with how Nintendo paced these things. It was adequate, I would say. Nothing like mind-blowing, but there was some cool stuff. But then again, I would say that about the last two games, just because I'm a massive fan of both of those series. So those were my thoughts on the Nintendo Direct. I hope you enjoyed this brief off-the-cuff thing that I put together. What were your thoughts on the Nintendo Direct if you've watched it? Love to know your thoughts, let me know in the comments, and like and subscribe, and all that stuff. And I'll see you again very soon with normal service resuming next week. See you then.